Need sources for your research or assignments, but not sure which ones to use? You're not alone. Figuring out what counts as a good source can feel overwhelming at first. That's where understanding source types comes in. There are three main categories you'll run into most often: scholarly, popular, and trade sources. Once you understand the differences, you'll be able to choose the best sources with confidence. We'll break down what makes each type unique, starting with scholarly sources. To understand scholarly sources, let's start with their purpose to know why they're created and what they are used for. They're written to advance academic knowledge and share original research, so they're not just informative, since they're part of an ongoing conversation in a specific field of research. Scholarly sources are written by academics and researchers, so people with expertise in the subject matter. And who are they written for? Usually other academics, researchers, and students. That means the content is specialized and assumes some background knowledge. When you are not sure if a source is a scholarly one or something else, just look out for these key features. They present in-depth research, they rely on evidence-based arguments, they're often peer-reviewed, though not always, the language is formal and technical, and they include full citations and references to support their claims. Some common examples of scholarly sources include academic journal articles, academic books, theses, and dissertations. Using scholarly sources shows that you're building on credible and expert research, which is useful for strong academic work. Not all sources are academic, and that's okay. Sometimes we use popular sources, especially when we're looking at how ideas are shared with the public. The purpose of popular sources is different from scholarly ones. They're usually created to entertain and inform. Sometimes, popular sources are meant to influence consumer behavior and encourage them to buy a product or possibly adopt a lifestyle. Popular sources are created by journalists, freelance writers, authors, and content creators like bloggers or influencers. These writers focus on sharing information, stories, or opinions in a way that's engaging for a general audience. So here, the audience is the general public, as the content is designed to be accessible and engaging for a large community. Here's what makes popular sources stand out. They often focus on lifestyle, entertainment, or current events. They're visually engaging, with eye-catching layouts and design. They can be edited by editors, but it's not the same as the peer review process for scholarly articles. The language is easy to read and casual, and they often include few or no citations. Common examples of popular sources include news articles, books, but general interest or entertainment ones, not rigorous academic textbooks, fashion and beauty magazines, and even social media posts. Popular sources are everywhere, and they can be useful for understanding trends, public opinion, and how information spreads. But remember, they're mostly meant to entertain, so popular sources may not be as reliable as scholarly sources for academic research. Now let's look at trade sources. They're not as research-heavy as scholarly sources, but they're also not just for entertainment like popular sources. Instead, they share industry news, trends, and practical advice that people in the field can actually use. Trade sources are written by professionals with industry experience, and their audience is usually practitioners who want to keep up with trends, tools, and best practices, from early career workers to seasoned experts. Key features of trade sources include a focus on industry trends and updates, practical advice and insights, editorial review, use of industry-specific language or jargon, and usually few or no formal citations. Some common examples of trade sources include industry-specific journals, newsletters, magazines, and websites. Think of sources that professionals in a field would read to stay up to date on trends and best practices. Trade sources are valuable for staying current in a profession, as they provide insider knowledge that's useful for real-world applications. Here is a quick summary of the key differences between scholarly, popular, and trade sources. When choosing which ones to use, it depends on your needs and the type of information you're looking for. Scholarly sources are great for credible, in-depth research, trade sources give real-world industry insight, and popular sources help with exploring public opinion or cultural trends. Overall, understanding sources better helps you choose relevant evidence to effectively support your points.